guys, in this lesson I'm going to do a thing to show you how to borrow chords from other keys, because what happens is when you play chord progressions you might get a bit bored with just this kind of vanilla sound of the diatonic harmony that comes from major and minor keys. So a cool thing to do is to be able to borrow from the parallel minor. Now what do I mean by the parallel minor? Basically a parallel minor is a key that has a tonic or starting root note, if you will, that is the same as the major. So we've got a major key there and we're going to have a minor key here, and it's also going to start with the same note. So basically this chord here, chord 1 of this, is going to be major. This, however, is going to be a C minor. Now, the thing is really that what we want to do is we want to be able to memorize the tonality of our chords, and we don't want to have to delve into any complicated circle of fifth stuff. We just really need to memorize this, and I think the easiest way to memorize it is that chord 1, 4 and 5 are major tonality. This is what this uppercase Roman numerals means. And chords 2, 3 and 6, those guys are minor chords or triads, and chord 7 is diminished. Nice and easy. Now if we want to think about the minor key, we can think of it in a clever way by using what already exists in the major key, and basically we take the tonality from chord 6 and we put it down here. So this is chord 1. This is going to be chord 2, which is going to be diminished. Chord 3 is major, and what we're going to also do is include the flat here to denote the distance that it is from this root note here. So if this was C, this would be D, this would be E flat. This is going to give us a lot of information, and we need this information. I'm going to show you a way to be able to see this super easy on the guitar as well. So there's chord 4, chord 5, chord 6 with a flat on it as well, and chord 7. Now what this is doing is retaining the information from the scale degree, because we want to be able to carry that over. Now just to clear something up, this is called basic Roman numeral system, so we can do it like this. Now the problem I always found with basic Roman numerals is that they do not tell you the tonality of the chords, and if you've seen any of my other videos then you'll know I go on about it. So we can do extended Roman numerals, and by doing it uppercase and lowercase it makes it major or minor. So major is uppercase and minor is lowercase. Chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, and then chord 7. So there's infinitely more information by looking at it in this way. Now it just so happens if we were to take the minor here like this and just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 7 like this, then we actually lose the scale information that we need. We lose the scale degrees because we don't know what the distance is between that and that. So as it stands, it looks like everything is just a tone apart when it actually isn't. So this is why we extend that Roman numeral even more by putting a flat in there, because that is going to be the root, that's the second, that's the flat third of the minor. This is the fourth, this is the fifth, this is the flat sixth of the minor, even though it looks like a 6/6, it's a flat. Let's do that there again. So it's a flat 6, then we get a flat 7. All we're really doing is we're expressing it in a different way. That's in Roman numerals. It says flat 7, this is flat 7. So we keep that scale degree in there. What it means is when you see these chords on your fretboard, you can associate scale degrees with your chords. How cool is that? Because when you want to extend your chords, you need to be able to know what notes you are allowed to put in them to sound cool. So that was a little bit of a tangent there, but I just want you to understand where that comes from. And this is really important. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take this information here from this C major scale and we're going to put it on the guitar. I'm going to draw it out on a fretboard in a moment. But the first things first, what I want you to be able to see is which chords I am able to use and borrow from here, because that's what this lesson is all about. It's all about borrowing chords. And the chords I'm going to borrow are the major triads from this key of C minor. Just like this major key has 3 major triads, the minor key also has 3 major triads as well. There's 3 minor triads and a diminished. here there are 3 minor triads and a diminished as well. So it's just really an inversion of the major key, if you want to think of it that way. Really, we're just starting there. It's the same chords but in a different order. So how am I going to express that? These are the ones that we're going to put in the L7 grid. Let me just swap my paper over. And let's put this L7 grid here. Now remember, what we need is chords 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm not going to add chord 7 in here because chord 7 is diminished and that complicates our thinking. But it's an easy fix if you want to find it because it's only a half step below the tonic. Right, we'll do this in the key of G major. So we're going to go chord 1, chord 4, and chord 5. This is what I call the L7 grid. This is where we find our major chords. If we look at this one here, this is the most important one, is that one, because that's our tonic. Let me just get some colour out and I'll just colour this guy in because it just makes it pop a little bit more. Those are our major chords. This chord 1, it falls on the E string, so this is going to be an E-shaped chord. And let me just show you what that chord would be. And don't worry, I'm going to actually play this for you as well. So there's the 5th, there's the root, there's the 3rd of the chord, we've got another root there, we've got a 5th, and we have another root there. So this here tallies with the root note of this here because this is an E-shaped chord there, guys. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Now the next chord we're going to look at is this one. This is chord 4. Now this is on an A string. Bang that over there. Because it's starting on the A string, this is going to be an A-shaped chord. So we'll put that root note in there. We'll put the 5R3. If you know me, I love 5R3 because it tells me where everything is. And there is the 4 chord. This is the 1 chord. This is the 4 chord. And the one I need now is this 5 chord here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to plonk it over here. And wherever this is where the root note for this chord is going to be as well. And this is also going to be an A shape. So look at that. 5R3, and there's the 5 there. Cross that off there. There you go. So that's showing you where your major chords are. But this is only one half of the puzzle because we've got the major chords. We need to know where our minor triads are going to go as well, our minor chords. So chord 2, chord 3, and then we get chord 6 here. So let's bang these babies in as well. And you know what? I'm going to colour this one in, and this one is the L, and I hope it makes sense why I call this the L7 grid. This is the L, this is the 7, so it looks like L7, and there was a band around a few years ago that had a song out that I particularly like, so that's why I used that. There you go, L7, it makes sense to me. So this is the root note for chord 2. Notice it's on the E string, which means that the root note is going to be there, but because 2, 3, and 6 are minors, then I have to put the minor shape in here. This is the 5th, this is the root, and remember we had the major 3rd here, but it's going to be a flat 3rd now. Put that there, there's the 5th, there's the root, put the bar across there, and that gives me the position to play that shape there, that E minor shape, E major shape, A major shape, A major shape. Let's move down onto this one. It's on the E string, and guess what? It's going to have exactly the same layout as this one. So let's just take this down here. So we get root, we get the 5th, we get the root, we get the flat 3rd, we get the 5th, and we get the root again. So you can see that is where the chord 3 lives. So we've got the 1, 4, 5, 2, 3, and then what we need is the 6th chord. Let's put this in here. This is on the A string for a root note, so we have to put that root note in there, but because it's a minor, we're not using an A major shape. If we go 5R3, flatten it, we get the 5R, flat 3 there, and then we bang that 5th on, put a bar on there. That's the 6th chord. So there you have your key all plotted out for you. Hopefully that makes sense. This is how to play in any key. This whole thing, it moves around to whichever position you want to put it in. You could drop it down a half step, put it into the key of F sharp, put it on the 1st fret, it would be the key of F. You just move it around. This note here, wherever that one is, that's your key center, that's your tonic. I'm going to swap my paper again because I want to show you where we put these borrowed chords. But it's necessary that you really understand this. And when I play a couple of progressions on the guitar at the end of this demo here, you're going to hear it and you're going to see what interest they bring as well. And also from a reverse engineering perspective, you might play songs and you are wondering where some of these chords have come from. And generally the first place that chords are borrowed from are from the parallel minor. Okay, what I'm going to do is show you where these borrowed chords live. It's super simple. You're going to love this. Okay, so we established that chords 1, 4, and 5 lived here. Chords 2, chords 3, and chord 6 lived there. Let's put those grids together there, guys. Put the colour in. There's the minor. That's why it's blue, because it's sad. Put this orange up here, because that's an uplifting colour. Is it? We don't know. Right, what we need to be able to do is use that scale formula to help us to understand where to put these borrowed chords. This is why I put these flats on. If you remember, for major, then we want to think about it from this perspective. We had chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, chord 4, chord 5, chord 6, and chord 7, which is the diminished chord, which is wobbly bob. In the minor, we have chord 1, which is minor, chord 2, which is diminished, chord 3, which was flattened, chord 4, which is minor, chord 5, which is minor, chord 6, which is flattened, chord 7, which is flattened, and that retains the scale degrees. But what we've got is this one, and this one that we are going to integrate with this. So let's look at how that physically embeds in each of these. This is the 3 chord, and this is a flat 3 chord. But what we get beautifully is we get the tonality of that chord there as well. So look, that's the 3 chord and this is a flat 3 chord. So we have to lower this down one and we'll just put that in there. That is the flat. And then I'm going to put this 3 chord in here. And that tells me where that 3 chord is going to live there, guys. That's the 3 chord. When we think about it, these actually lay out the same way as the 1, 4, and 5 do. We can think of it in that way. So if this was the case that this was the flat 3, and this is just a quick way around it, we could go 1, 4, 5, and you can see that that plots it out easily. But what we'll do is we'll just work through this just so that you know exactly what's going on. So this is 6 chord, but it is flattened and it's major. So look, there's chord 6. Let's put that 6 chord and we'll flatten it there. Okay, so we've got the 6 chord. Chord 7 would be a whole step above. That would be where chord 7, that diminished chord, would live. Let me just put that in there if I can see. My glasses are just going a bit wonky. Had to rub that out because I made a mess of it. There you go, chord 7, and that's that diminished chord. If we flattened the root note for that chord there and turned it into a major chord, then what we'd get is the flat 7 chord. Now, I know, and I've told you that these guys here are major chords. So this is major, and this is major. Let's just outline that. I'm going to use this colour here to show you. Hopefully you can see where we have the 1, 4, 5, we have a similar shape. From there, we go up a step and a half step, which is a minor third. And then what we do is we put that 1, 4, 5 on there. But if we want to think about it in the parallel minor, what we get is the flat 3, the flat 6, and the flat 7. I'll just fill in these chords here, and then what I'll do is I'll put these borrowed chords in here, and so you can see how this chart all lays out. So as you can see, we've got chord 1, 4, 5, chords 2, 3, 6. We are maintaining that L7 grid, but what we are doing is we're adding this intersecting 7 shape, if you will, or bracket shape. I just call them a bracket shape. Let's have a look at where this flat 3 chord is going to live. This is coming all the way from here, and it's going to go here. Now, because this is on the E string as well, this is going to be an E major shape. So if we take this, we've got the root, we've got the 5th, we've got the root, we've got the 3rd, we've got the 5th, we've got a root, and then we can play that bar chord there. And you can see that it's exactly the same shape as chord 1. What we've got to do now is we've got to get these A shapes in here, and these are major shapes as well. So take that A there and we put a root in there. Because it's major, it's going to be a 5R3 there. We've got the 5th here, and this is going to be at this position. This chord is also major. This one, remember I said this was flat 6, and this one is going to be flat 7. Root note on an A, no E string because it's an A shape. This is going to live just here, guys. This is going to be a 5R3 chord with the 5th there, and then if we bar across there, that is going to give us the framework for our borrowed chords. So this is a borrowed chord, this is the borrowed chord, and this is the borrowed chord, and hopefully you can see how that just slots in there like Lego, and you can use this to spice up your chord progressions. I'm going to jump on the guitar and show you some examples right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by playing the major and minor chords in the L7 grid for you. So this is the root note for chord 1, this is the root note for chord 4, this is the root note for chord 5. Those are your major shapes, and I'll just play those. We get an E shape here, we get an A shape here, and we get an A shape here. And that gives me my 3 major chords. So I've got major, 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 chords 1, 4, 5. Now I just follow that along, and the beauty of the key of G as well is they follow the dots. It's a nice handy thing that happens. So if we take that there, we go up the dot here, we get the root note for chord 2, which is a minor chord, root note for chord 3, root note for chord 6. So these are going to be my minor chords. So this is an A minor shaped E minor chord here. That's a bit of a mouthful. You can see there's the A minor shape, but because the root note is E, this is going to be an E minor chord. So there's that chord 6. Moving back to chord 3 here, I'm going to play an E minor shape here. I'm going to drop that down a whole step to the 5th fret because I'm just following my dots, and those are my minor chords. So here's 6, here's 3, here's 2. Let me put those together with 5, 4, 1. Now that's pretty cool. So what I mentioned in the previous part of this video, that we're basically going to take the same pattern that we have for the 1, 4, 5, and we're going to start it on the position that would be the flat third. So this is where the third is. This is the 3rd chord, and we drop it down a half step. What we have to do now is we have to replicate that pattern where we go the 1, 4, 5 pattern, but this is also the flat 3, the flat 6 and the flat 7 chord from the parallel minor of G minor. Because if we think about it, we're going to go G minor, A diminished, and then we would have here chord 3 would live here in the minor key. So we're just transferring that idea. So we're going to go E shape here. Because it goes over onto the A string, we put that as an A shape. Then we move that up a whole step, and we get that A shape here at the 8th fret as well. So let me just play through those. They sound a bit odd when we play them consecutively in chunks, but if we use them as part of a chord progression, they sound a little bit better. So if I play this here, this is what I have available to me in E shapes now. So those are the chords that I have available now. Let's do it as the A shapes here. So we've got an A shape, I got an A shape, I got another A shape, then we get the minor, and then we get the A shape there. So we get... It gives us a lot of choice here to be able to move around and be creative. So let's look at a common chord progression, and we'll just put the flat 3 chord in. Let's do 6, 2, 5, 1. So we're going to go 6, 2, 5, 1. Before I go to that 2, I'm going to put this flat 3 chord in. So I'm going to go... That brings something interesting into that chord progression. It sounds a little bit outside, and this is why we want to do this. Sounds a bit dreamy, does this one? So that's a way we could use that. We can also use this. This is the flat 6 chord. It's a 5 chord. You're going to hear this is very Buzzcocksy, very Arctic Monkeys, that kind of thing. And it just extends this idea of what you can do with this major L7 grid. And then by transposing this little bracket on here from the parallel minor, then that means we can add these extra colours in here. If you can think of any songs that might have these borrowed chords in them, then pop them in the comments below. There is a problem with just playing the bar chords because they are very vanilla. There's not much colour in them. And what could help is if you learn how to play 7th chords as well in this L7 grid. And if you want to learn that, then I'll show you in this video just here.
Hey up guys, Ricky here with a quick message. If you didn't know, I have written a book. There's links for how to get to that in the video description below, and I'll put a little card up here so that you can click on that if you want to support my work here on the channel.